What happens when a lone panther risks everything to protect a baby antelope in lion territory? The pride sees it as betrayal. What they do next? Rewrites the law of the wild. They say the wild doesn't care, that it's all teeth, instinct, and survival. Yeah, well, they haven't met her. I wasn't supposed to be out this far, not after what happened to my den. Not after the fire turned my old home into a charred souvenir of everything I ever protected. But here I was, in someone else's turf, creeping through the dry underbrush like I didn't have a giant invisible target on my back. The lions owned this region, and trust me, they weren't exactly sending out welcome baskets. My name? Doesn't matter. They call me a panther, shadow of the savannah, loner by design, which is funny, because I'm about to tell you how I broke every law nature ever wrote. It started with a sound I wasn't supposed to respond to. A high-pitched squeal, thin as air, coming from a ditch so deep and overgrown, even the sun gave up on it. Most predators would have ignored it. After all, a crying baby antelope? That's a free snack, or bait for something hungrier than you. But me? I looked, and what I saw, well, it threw everything I thought I knew straight into the dirt. A baby topee, legs tangled in roots, eyes big and shaking, maybe 2 days old, tops, alone, helpless, and right in the damn crosshairs of a juvenile cheetah about to pounce like it was picking up fast food. I could have turned away. I should have. But something in me, something stubborn and broken, decided no. Not today. I stepped out. The cheetah froze. We locked eyes and I could see him sizing me up, figuring out whether his breakfast was worth a few broken ribs. He wasn't stupid. He hissed like a teenager denied a car and backed off, disappearing into the bush with all the dignity of a sulking cat. The fawn was trembling so hard its knees knocked. I didn't touch it, just stood there, let it look at me. Then slowly, I nudged a path clear with my paw. The little thing stared, unsure. But instinct is a wild thing, and today it told him to follow the enemy. We made it 10 paces before the ground moved. Not literally, but you get the idea. A low rumble, distant at first, then louder, like thunder with a temper problem. My ears perked, my gut twisted, and there, cutting across the horizon like a wave of muscle and fury, was a lion pride. 10 of them. Maybe more, marching like they owned the planet. And to be fair, around here, they kinda did. I lowered my head. The baby pressed against my leg. Now, in case you're wondering, yes, I knew exactly how this looked. A panther standing over a fawn, in lion territory. Let's just say I wasn't about to be crowned Miss Congeniality. The lead lion, a tank of a male with a mane like wildfire, locked eyes with me. He didn't run, he didn't roar, he watched, calculated. The fawn whimpered, the lions didn't blink, and I stood there, trying to remember when exactly my life became a slow-motion suicide attempt dressed up like a charity case. But here's the thing they never tell you about defiance. It doesn't always come with a roar. Sometimes it's just a stare that says, "Go ahead, make your move." And they didn't. Not yet. Because nature doesn't just punish kindness. It waits, lets it stretch out like a red flag, and then decides how hard it's going to hit you for daring to care. And trust me, the hit was coming. That was just the beginning. What happened next? It changed everything. You don't want to miss how this spun completely out of control. They didn't charge. Not right away. That would have been too easy. No, lions aren't like cheetahs. They don't rush. They watch. They size you up while you're still pretending not to panic. And let me tell you, being outnumbered by a pride of lions while standing over a baby antelope, that's not a bad dream. That's Tuesday, apparently. The leader, that mountain of muscle with the fire-colored mane, stood dead center, not a whisker out of place. His name was Dangua. You didn't survive out here without knowing who ran what, and Dangua, he didn't just run territory, he commanded it. He was the kind of lion who made rivers change course just by stepping into them. And now he was looking at me like I'd tracked mud into his pristine den. Behind him, his pride was buzzing, not with noise but with tension. Lanky adolescents with twitching tails, older lionesses whispering to each other with eyes like flint. I didn't need a translator. I could feel what they were thinking. Who does she think she is? And the answer? I wasn't sure anymore, because saving that fawn had felt right for about 5 minutes. But now? Now it felt like a signed confession pinned to my back. Then the brush parted, and suddenly the whole story twisted again. She came limping in like a storm with a broken wing. The mother, thin, bleeding, dragging one leg behind her but moving anyway. And the second she saw her baby, she let out a sound that hit me in the ribs harder than any claw ever could. A low, raw cry, not of fear, of relief. The baby sprang forward. They touched noses. Just for a second, everything else faded, until the lions noticed. One of the younger ones, big for his age and clearly hungry for approval, took a step forward. His eyes said, finally, a target I don't have to explain. But Dangua cut him off with a growl so low it vibrated through the soil. Not yet, he said. And just like that, the whole pride froze. Dangua stared at me, then at the fawn, then back at the mother. His voice was calm, the kind of calm that makes your skin crawl. You broke the line, he said. Didn't know there was a line carved in the dust, I replied, because apparently I'd decided sarcasm was a great survival tool. I was too busy keeping a baby from being turned into breakfast. The pride did not laugh. Antelope don't get second chances, one of the lionesses snapped. You know that. I didn't give him a second chance, I said. I gave him a chance. And that? That's when things really started to fall apart. Another lioness stepped forward, taller, older, with eyes sharp as broken glass. She wasn't interested in speeches. She was here for blood. You've insulted the hunt, she hissed. You've mocked the way. And before Dangua could stop her, she leapt. I moved fast. Not smart, fast. Threw my shoulder between her and the antelope, took the hit hard, rolled, twisted, slashed, not to kill, just to warn, just to hold the line a few seconds longer. But lions don't do warnings. They escalate. In an instant, I was surrounded. A wall of muscle and rage. And behind me, the antelope and her baby, too scared to breathe. I fought like I meant it, not because I thought I could win, but because someone had to show them this wasn't normal, that mercy wasn't weakness, that maybe the system they worshipped, red in tooth and claw, wasn't as sacred as they thought. One of the young lions lunged. I dodged. Another tried to flank me. I spun. I felt claws rip across my side, shallow, but enough to sting. And then the worst part happened. The baby cried, loud, helpless, a sound like lightning in reverse. The entire pride paused. And then something shifted. One of the young lions stopped mid-step, stared at the baby, then at me, and then back at Dangua. His ears flattened. He didn't look angry anymore. He looked confused. Another lion stepped back, then another. Something in them cracked, not loudly, not all at once. But I could see it, that flicker of doubt, the kind that spreads like fire through dry grass. But fire? It still burns. And the next thing that happened? It turned the whole savannah upside down. This is it, the climax. Everything you've been waiting for comes to a head right now. Stick around to see how one act of defiance flipped the entire food chain on its back. Let me paint the moment for you, because when it happened, it didn't roar. It whispered. 1 second I was standing there, blood trickling down my ribs, claws dull from swinging, legs shaking like a tree in a storm. The lions were circling. The mother antelope and her baby were behind me, curled in a terrified heap. Everything told me this was it, the end of the line. And then, Dangua moved. Not toward me, not toward them, but between us all. He didn't snarl, didn't posture. He just stepped into that silence like it belonged to him. His mane caught the wind. His eyes, those hardened amber stones, didn't blink. He looked at the cubs in his pride, at the lionesses, at the fading scars on my side, at the baby antelope trembling behind me, and something in his face broke. "This isn't strength," he said. His voice wasn't loud, but it cut deeper than any fang could. "This is routine. We've been worshiping the same rules for so long, we forgot why they even existed." The pride stared at him like he'd just grown wings. One of the lionesses stepped forward, clearly not buying into this philosophical shift. "You're saying we just let her go?" she barked. "Let them live and act like none of this happened?" "No," he said. "I'm saying maybe we stop pretending that mercy is poison." You could have heard a leaf drop. I didn't move. I wasn't sure if this was a speech or a stall tactic. But then Dangua did something no lion had done in this savanna since long before I was born. He turned his back on the hunt, walked straight toward the mother antelope. Not fast, not threatening, step by heavy step like he was carrying every weight his pride ever dropped on him. And when he reached them, he knelt, the king of this wasteland, and lowered his head to the dirt. The baby antelope looked at him, blinked, then touched his nose, just once, and the universe shifted. No one attacked. No one barked commands. The young lions, those twitchy teenagers who wanted nothing more than blood and rank, stood frozen. One by one, their tails dropped, their chests sank, their eyes dropped to the ground. It wasn't fear. It was clarity. Even the lioness who had started this whole mess took a shaky step back. I didn't say anything, didn't need to. My point had been made with every scratch on my body, and now Dangua was making his with silence. I stepped aside. The antelope mother looked at me, and for a moment I swear she knew, not with words, not with understanding the way humans like to believe animals can't, but with something deeper, a thank you etched in posture and breath. She nudged her baby, and together they walked, past lions, past fear, out into the brush where they disappeared like smoke into sunrise. The pride didn't speak for a long time. Eventually, Dangua turned to me. His gaze didn't carry the weight of a rival anymore. It was something else. Maybe respect, maybe regret, maybe both. "You're not one of us," he said finally. But maybe we all forgot what that even means. Then he walked away. The others followed, and I stayed behind, surrounded by silence, by trampled grass and broken patterns. That was the day the food chain stuttered. Not because I fought, not because I won, but because someone, finally, listened. This wasn't a story about power. It was about the guts to pause, to say no to a cycle that eats everyone, predator or not. In the wild, mercy is the most dangerous move you can make, but sometimes it's the only one that matters. If a lion can learn that, what's stopping us?